The fastest bowler cricket ever saw died in a simple accident. But his real story involves banned tours, broken promises, and a secret that changed West Indies cricket forever. Picture this: a man cycling peacefully through the streets of Barbados on February 6, 2021. Cars passing by, sun shining, just another normal day. Then suddenly everything changes in a split second. An SUV crashes into him near Bridgetown. Ezra Moseley, one of cricket's most feared fast bowlers, dies instantly, at age 63. But here's what nobody talks about. This wasn't just any cricketer who died that day. This was the man who made the biggest sacrifice in cricket history, paid the ultimate price for it, and then did something nobody thought was possible. Let me tell you about Ezra Moseley's story, because it's not what you think it is. Most people remember him as just another West Indies fast bowler from the 1980s. Some know he played in those controversial rebel tours to South Africa during apartheid. But the real story goes much deeper than that. It's about a young man from a small village in Barbados who had everything taken away from him and then fought his way back to become the only person in cricket history to achieve what seemed impossible. Born on January 5, 1958, in Waldron's Village, Christchurch, Barbados, Ezra grew up like thousands of other Caribbean kids, dreaming of playing cricket for the West Indies. Back then, the West Indies cricket team was like the Brazil football team today, absolutely unstoppable. They had the most feared fast bowling attack in world cricket. Andy Roberts, Michael Holding, Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner, these names made batsmen around the world shake in their boots. But even among these legends, people who knew cricket understood that Ezra Moseley was something special. When Glamorgan signed him in 1980 after watching him destroy batsmen in club cricket, they knew they had found a gem. In his first season, he took over 50 wickets. The next year, he did it again. County cricket batsmen started talking about this new West Indian who bowled faster than anyone they had ever faced. His bowling was like watching lightning strike. The ball would leave his hand and reach the batsman so quickly that even experienced players struggled to react in time. But here's where the story gets interesting. Despite being one of the fastest bowlers in the world, Ezra couldn't get into the West Indies team. Not because he wasn't good enough. He was probably faster than half the bowlers already in the team. The problem was that the West Indies had too many great fast bowlers. When your team already has 4 of the best fast bowlers in cricket history, how do you fit in a 5th one, no matter how good he is? This frustration was eating away at Ezra. Imagine being told you're one of the fastest bowlers in the world, but you can't play for your own country because they already have too many good players. It's like being the best singer in the world, but never getting to perform on stage because all the spots are taken. Day after day, month after month, Ezra watched other players represent the West Indies while he sat on the sidelines, knowing he was just as good as them. Then, in 1982, something happened that changed everything. Ezra was already dealing with a stress fracture in his back that required surgery. He was out of cricket, frustrated, and wondering if he would ever get his chance to represent the West Indies. That's when the offer came. A group of businessmen wanted to organize a cricket tour to South Africa. They were offering serious money, more money than most cricketers had ever seen in their lives. The catch? South Africa was under apartheid rule, and the international cricket community had banned all official tours there. Now, you have to understand what apartheid South Africa was like. Black people and white people were separated by law. Black people couldn't vote, couldn't live where they wanted, couldn't even use the same bathrooms as white people. The whole world was trying to pressure South Africa to change by isolating them completely. No international sports, no trade, no cultural exchanges, nothing. The idea was that if South Africa became completely cut off from the world, they would eventually give up apartheid. But these businessmen had a different plan. They wanted to bring top international cricketers to South Africa for unofficial tours. They called them rebel tours because they were rebelling against the official ban. The money they offered was incredible. enough to set up a cricketer for life. For players like Ezra, who had never earned big money from cricket and might never get the chance to play international cricket officially, it was tempting beyond belief. Ezra faced an impossible choice. On one hand, going to South Africa meant supporting a racist system that oppressed millions of people. It meant betraying the principles that most of the world, including his own Caribbean community, believed in. On the other hand, it meant financial security for his family, and possibly his only chance to play high-level international cricket. Remember, he was already 24 years old and had never played for the West Indies. Time was running out. In 1982, Ezra made the decision that would define the rest of his life. He joined the Rebel Tour to South Africa. Along with him went several other West Indies players, including some who had already played official international cricket. They knew exactly what they were risking, but the combination of money and opportunity was too much to resist. The tour itself was successful from a cricket perspective. The matches were competitive, the crowds were good, and the players performed well. But back home in the Caribbean, the reaction was explosive. People felt betrayed. Here were Caribbean players, descendants of slaves, going to play cricket in a country that treated black people as second-class citizens. The anger was real, and it was intense. The Cricket Board of the West Indies acted swiftly and harshly. In 1983, they banned all the Rebel Tour participants for life. Not just for a few years, for life. This meant that Ezra Moseley, at age 25, was told he would never, ever play cricket for the West Indies. His dream was over before it had really begun. But the punishment didn't stop there. These players faced social ostracism in their home countries. People who had been their friends stopped talking to them. Cricket clubs didn't want to be associated with them. Some players received death threats. The Rebel Tour money, which had seemed like such a blessing, started to feel like a curse. For most of the Rebel Tour players, this was the end of their international cricket careers. They continued playing county cricket in England or domestic cricket in their home countries, but they were essentially exiled from the highest level of the game. Some players became bitter. Others tried to justify their decision. A few simply disappeared from cricket altogether. But Ezra Moseley was different. Instead of becoming bitter or giving up, he decided to prove that he deserved to play for the West Indies, ban or no ban. He went back to county cricket with Glamorgan and bowled like a man possessed. Season after season, he destroyed batting lineups. He took wickets at an incredible rate. He bowled so fast that batsmen started comparing him to the greatest fast bowlers in history. In 1989, something unexpected happened. The world was changing. Apartheid in South Africa was beginning to crumble. Nelson Mandela was about to be released from prison. The Berlin Wall had fallen. In this new atmosphere, cricket boards around the world started reconsidering their positions on the Rebel Tour bans. The West Indies Cricket Board, under pressure from various quarters and recognizing that some of the banned players might still have something to offer, made a historic decision. They lifted the life bans. For most of the Rebel Tour players, this came too late. They were too old, too out of practice, or too disconnected from international cricket to make a comeback. But Ezra Moseley was still bowling fast, still taking wickets, and still hungry for his chance to represent the West Indies. At the age 32, an age when most fast bowlers are thinking about retirement, Ezra Moseley finally got his call-up to the West Indies team. It was 1989, 7 years after the Rebel Tour, and he was about to become the only player from the 1982 South Africa Tour to represent the West Indies in official international cricket after the bans were lifted. His debut came during England's Tour of the West Indies in 1989-90. By this time, some of the great West Indies fast bowlers of the 1980s were aging or retired. There was space in the team for someone like Ezra. But he wasn't just making up the numbers. He was still genuinely fast, still genuinely dangerous. During that tour, Ezra did something that perfectly captured his story. He bowled a delivery to Graham Gooch, England's best batsman, that was so fast and so well directed that it broke Gooch's hand. This wasn't just any fast bowler roughing up a batsman. This was the rebel tour player showing that he belonged at the highest level of cricket. The same hands that had signed the controversial contract to play in South Africa were now delivering balls that could compete with the very best in world cricket. Ezra went on to play 2 Test matches and 9 one-day internationals for the West Indies between 1990 and 1991. It wasn't a long international career, but it was significant for several reasons. First, he proved that the rebel tour players weren't just money-grabbing opportunists. At least some of them were genuinely world-class cricketers who deserved to play at the highest level. Second, he showed incredible mental strength by coming back from 7 years of exile to perform on the biggest stage. Third, he became living proof that redemption was possible, even for those who had made controversial choices. But perhaps most importantly, Ezra's comeback highlighted how complicated the whole rebel tour issue really was. It's easy to say that the players who went to South Africa were wrong, and from a moral standpoint, supporting apartheid was clearly wrong. But these players were also human beings with families to feed, careers to build, and dreams to pursue. Many of them came from poor backgrounds and saw the rebel tours as their only chance at financial security. The cricket establishment that banned them was the same establishment that had failed to provide them with adequate opportunities and compensation in the first place. Ezra's story also revealed the inconsistencies in how different cricket boards handled the rebel tour issue. While the West Indies initially imposed life bans, other countries were more lenient. Some players from other countries who participated in rebel tours continued playing international cricket with minimal interruption. The West Indies players, who were predominantly black and whose participation in tours to apartheid South Africa was seen as particularly offensive, faced the harshest punishments. After his brief international career ended in 1991, Ezra continued, playing county cricket for several more years. He retired from professional cricket in the mid-1990s, but remained involved in the game as a coach and mentor to young players. Those who worked with him during this period described him as someone who had learned profound lessons from his experiences. He understood the price of controversial decisions, but he also understood the importance of perseverance and redemption. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, as apartheid ended and South Africa rejoined the international cricket community, the rebel tour issue gradually became less contentious. New generations of cricket fans grew up without the emotional baggage of the apartheid era. Some cricket historians began to take a more nuanced view of the rebel tours, recognizing that while they were morally problematic, they also involved complex personal and economic factors that couldn't be ignored. Ezra himself rarely spoke publicly about the rebel tour decision in his later years. When asked, he would acknowledge that it was controversial, but would also point out that it led to opportunities for him to play high-level cricket and eventually to represent the West Indies. He seemed to have made peace with his choice, understanding both its costs and its benefits. The cricket community began to recognize Ezra's unique achievement. No other player from the 1982 West Indies rebel tour to South Africa ever played official international cricket after the bans were lifted. He was the only one who managed to translate his county cricket success into an international comeback. This made him not just a successful cricketer, but a symbol of resilience and second chances. As Ezra aged, he remained connected to cricket in Barbados. He would often be seen at local matches, offering advice to young players or simply enjoying the game he had loved all his life. Those who knew him described him as someone who had been humbled by his experiences, but not broken by them. He understood that life was complicated, that people made difficult choices under pressure, and that redemption was always possible for those willing to work for it. On February 6, 2021, Ezra was cycling near Bridgetown, Barbados, probably thinking about everyday things, family, friends, maybe some cricket. The SUV that hit him ended not just a life, but a story that had captured the complexity of professional sport, international politics, and personal ambition. At age 63, Ezra Moseley died as he had lived in his later years, quietly, without drama, but with a legacy that was far more complex and meaningful than most people realized. The cricket world mourned his death, but many of the obituaries focused on his statistics and his Rebel Tour controversy. Few really captured the essence of what made Ezra Moseley special: his ability to come back from complete exile to achieve his childhood dream of representing the West Indies. In a sport full of talented players who never quite make it to the top level, and in a world full of people who make mistakes that define them forever, Ezra Moseley proved that with enough determination and talent, even the most controversial decisions don't have to be final. Subscribe now to discover more hidden stories of cricket legends who changed the game forever.